Welcome Stampers. This afternoon I'm going to show you how to do the assembly of the card kit that's in my Etsy store. The card kit either comes as a thank you card for baby or invitation. So that's how that one is done. This is the everyday thank you, which is I'm going to show you how to assemble, mainly how to make the bows and how to place them on the card in case you're not. So in your kit you're going to get little bags of the punched out pieces for the bow, which come from the bow already embossed center panels. You're going to get some inserts to go inside the card to write on or print on. You're going to get all the pre-cut pieces to assemble for the card itself, and then you'll have 6 envelopes along with an already completed card for you to look at. So we'll have that ready when we're ready to put it on the front of the card. I got 3 little piles here because I got 3 different pieces of designer paper. This is a Stampin' Up designer paper from I'll show you how to assemble it. We'll start with the dark one. You can use your fingernails if you have nails and just pull on the back of it like that, because you want it to be kind of rounded, and we're going to do that to both pieces. And you can see the piece has a rounded part and then these little tabs on the ends. So I'm going to use a glue, easiest way to assemble this. I'm also going to glue dry. So I'm going to just put a dot of glue right there. I'm going to take my little tabs. Whoops, I put it on the wrong side. Excuse me. Tabs, and then just press the little 2 little, and that's when you can use your clothespin to hold it just till you do the next one. So you're just going to put a little dot of glue, press the 2 tabs together. Now you can use either side. Paper is black, so that'll bring out the color in that. Okay, so I'm going to just put both of those under my little clothespin. Now we have these 2 little fish tails that make the little ends of the bow. Take one of those. I'm going to put a dot of glue right there on that tab, and then just lay this tab over it and press it for just a minute. Tails. So you're going to take a dot of glue in the center where we join those 2 tab pieces. You're going to take your little circular piece, matching tabs. Just put a dot of glue. Thick there, because when you start putting a glue dot between every little piece of paper, it's going to be way thick because the glue dots are really just dyed. I really don't want to use that for something that we want to be glued to each other. We're just going to put a, supposed to be the wraparound part of the bow. Place that over it. Each side of those tabs, fold, and that's where I'm going to use my clothespin. So there's our first one done. Okay, so now we have all 3 of our little bows done and drying with the glue on them. the next thing I want to do is take my embossed piece, and I want to find the center of the embossed piece, which is right there. And I'm just going to make a pencil mark where that center is, and I know that this embossed line is the center because I got 1, 2, 3 rows, 1, 2, 3 rows. So right here will be the center of this piece. Now you can measure to see what the other distances are, but I'm just going to eye that if possible. So what we want to do now is assemble the other pieces of the card. So you have an embossed piece, and this has a black mat, and it's going to be matted just like that. And we're just going to use our snail type adhesive. You can use any tape runners that you want. This is not a fast fuse. This is a regular snail, so that it can be removed for a few seconds if you get it on crooked. I make very small margins with my mats, so you might find that a little bit precision difficult, but just take your time, and before you press it down, just make sure you have it the way you want it to look on the card. Okay, now that that's done, I'll lay that aside. We have a piece of designer paper. I'm using a little bit different piece than I used on the other card. The other card has got the yellow paper. This is going to be a little bitty orange paper to bring out the orange in the other bows. And again, it's just going to be mounted with snail. I always go all the way to the edges with my tape runner. A lot of people don't do that. I just do that so I make sure it stays together. And we're just going to do the same thing again. Just mount that in the center. Okay, now we got our two pieces. Now we want to go ahead and mount this to the front of our card. If you're going to stamp anything extra on the card, or maybe stamp your name or something like that on the back, you want to go ahead and do that now before you start decorating your card base. So again, it's going to be just snail folding the front on. If you want to use 4-pile tape for this, you can. This is not really a very heavy card front because it doesn't have ribbon or stones or anything, so snail is probably sufficient for this card. And again, just line it up. Make sure you have it where you want it. And press away. Okay, so there's our base done. Sorry, I bumped the camera there. Alright, you're going to have an insert in your card kit that goes in here. It's a piece of nice bond paper that you can write on, stamp on, or put in your printer and print on. Okay, this is going to be mounted with dimensionals. You'll get a small paper of dimensionals in your pack. And I'm going to put one in each corner, one in the middle. And Stampin' Up! Dimensionals are really my preferred dimensional device. Pop-ups that you buy in the store are too foamy and too wiggly, and these are just by far the best. They last the longest, they stick the best. You can use them for they have a lot of different functions. I actually use them sometimes in my kitchen cabinets to keep them from bumping. Okay, and we're just going to center that by eyeball. If you really want to measure, you can measure it. It's about 5/8 of an inch from the edge of the card. Okay, that's pretty straight and close enough for me. Okay, now we know where our center bow is going to go because I put a pencil mark there. Now I'm not going to put the bows on with dimensionals because if we do, it's going to make them stick out too far on the card that they're really going to get smushed when you put them in the envelope. As it is, they're going to get a little bit smushed down, but because we rubbed it with our fingernail and kind of made it circular, it's going to actually stay pretty rounded even in an envelope going through the mail. I have actually mailed these to myself just to see how they hold up. Now I'm going to actually put these on with Tombow glue. That's just a white glue, and I'm just doing that because it gives you a chance to change your mind if you don't like where it is. So I'm just putting 3 little dots, one in the center, one on each side of the center. And I'm just going to place that right. I know that this embossed line is the center, so I'm just going to put it right on that line, on that dot, so that I know that's right in the center of my card. Tombow dries pretty quickly, but it still gives you just a little bit of time to tweak it. Like I think that's just a little bit crooked there, so I'm going to just tweak it a little bit. I think I'll put the polka dot on the top. And I'm just going to put these here and just eyeball where I want them to go. And I think that's, I know it's going to be on this center line. So that's about a good spacing right there to suit me. So I'm just going to put some 3 dots again of Tombow on the back. 1, 2, 3. Tombow, once it dries, is pretty you know, you can't get it back off. It's pretty much there forever and ever. It's a great thing for using like when you're doing boxes or something like that, because it gives you time to get your corners matched up. And a lot of people assemble their whole cards with it, but it's a little bit too messy for that for me. So I'd rather use the tape runner. I mean, you know, you got to be card worthy in the first place, you know, to get a good Stampin' Up card, because a lot of people would just throw away greeting cards when they get them. Okay. Oops. See, I'm stuck to it. Alrighty. And that's another thing. When you're using Tombow, you need to make sure you have like a little wet rag so you can wipe your fingers. Because if it gets on there, it pretty much stays on your fingers until you go wash your hands. So have you a little bit of water to get that off. Alright, those look pretty good, and they look pretty lined up. Now, in your kit, you're going to get a little punch that says thanks. There's a few extras in there of other sentiments if you don't really want them all to be thank you notes. There's a few extras. But I'm going to, in one of the samples, I have it just mounted to the front here in the corner. But I'm going to actually mount it to a piece of black cardstock to kind of bring that black out a little bit more, like that's in the bow. I'm just going to do that with a little snail on the back. And I'm going to line it up. There's some scrap strips like of the black in your kit. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball that and line it up with the edge. I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to trim that. And then I'm going to trim across the top so that it has a very small little black mat. Just like that. And I'm going to try to get that as straight as I can. There we go. Now, what I did on my sample is I took a white Uniball by Signo pen. If you have one of those chalk markers, that'll work. Or if you just have some white paint and you stick it in a toothpick, make a little dot. I'm just going to put a little dot in the corner, just to kind of make it look like it's got a little tiny brad. You could put a little pearl in the corner if you got some little pearls. And let that dry. And I'm going to stick that also on with a dimensional. Just a couple on the back should do the trick. And you can mount that either like here on the corner like I did. You can, if you're one of those people that doesn't like things that aren't, you know, symmetrical, you could mount it down here at the bottom. But I kind of like it just sitting off at the side on the bottom. And I'm trying not to touch my white ink there till it dries. And put that right on the side. Press that down. And there's your little card all ready to go. You have enough in there to make, you have one as a sample, and then you make 5 more, so it gives you a set of 6 cards that you can send as little thank you notes. And it looks pretty with all different kinds of designer paper. If you don't have a big collection of designer paper like I do, because I do hoard paper, I love it, you can just pick out maybe 3 sheets out of a pack that coordinate, and then you can have what's on the back of one on the other, you know, like that. You will need the bow punch, which is available from Stampin' Up. It's available on my website. I'll give you the link down below in the video where to the link to the punch to buy it if you want to in my store. I also used the ticket punch, which is available in the store, and that's what the thanks is punched with. If you don't have a ticket punch, you can just cut the square and then use a 1/4 inch regular paper hole puncher and punch out the corners. That's basically what the ticket punch does, other than this is actually perfect and it'd be hard to make the other perfect. But that's how it's done. I hope you enjoy. If you have questions, please convo me through Etsy or contact me through my email address listed below. Thank you. Happy stamping.